Welcome to the Unfiltered Tea with Evie podcast, where personal brands and service providers come for honest, anti-sleaze marketing advice that actually works. I'm Evie Tavares, founder of Evie Tavares Branding, and if you're tired of manipulative tactics, sleazy marketing strategies, and feeling like you're the only one who doesn't have your business all together, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we're diving into copywriting, personal branding strategy, business mindset, and balancing business with kids and real life. I'll be bringing in some epic guests, including business experts, to share their insights and real experiences in life and business. You can expect real life stories, tactical tips, and the occasional spicy Evie moment, all served up with your morning cup of tea. So grab your tea, get cozy, and let's get into it. You're listening to the Unfiltered Tea with Evie, and I'm back with another incredible guest episode. I am so pumped for you to listen to this episode, and this guest has had such a huge impact on my business. She and her business partner are, honestly, I attribute a lot of my success and my growth to them and the community that they've helped me build. So without further ado, our next guest is Kristina Bartold-Sorgota. She is the co-founder of The Social Snippet and High Vibe Women. She loves helping entrepreneurs and small business owners grow their communities online using social media, podcasting, and events. Kristina spends most of her days recording podcast episodes for the Community Podcast, coaching business owners on how to grow their businesses, or hosting events for local female entrepreneurs to grow through the High Vibe Women events. And we cover so many incredible things in this episode. We talk about the difference between building community versus growing an audience. We talk about the challenges of scaling a business and the significance of mentorship as a business owner. So go ahead and grab your favorite beverage, start your walk, start your folding your laundry, whatever it is, start your drive, whatever it is that you do when you listen to these podcasts. Go ahead and start, lean in, and enjoy the episode. I am here with Kristina, who I'm so excited to have here today. Kristina, thank you so much for taking the time to come on.
Oh my gosh, of course. I'm so excited to be here and excited to chat with you.
Awesome. Well, I feel like I consider you, and I've heard other people call you this too, the queen of community, but I feel like that's like, for you, it's so genuine and it's so authentic. Like, I can't tell you the number of times I've gone on Threads or somewhere else and you've tagged me on something, somebody asking for a copywriter. Like, you're just one of those people who's always saying other people's names in rooms that they're not in. So I'm so grateful for that. I know other people in your community are. So yeah, you're just like, I know you run the High Vibe Women events. You are like the epitome of High Vibe Women. So yeah, super excited to chat today. So kind of leading with that and leading with community, I was kind of thinking about how some people kind of build an audience on social media and some people build a community. So how would you kind of describe the difference between the two, and how would you kind of start shifting from an audience to a community?
Yeah, I love that question. Actually, just the other day did an interview for my friend Lori's podcast, and we actually talked about this topic because it's so important. Because often when people are talking about social, they think about audience like the number, right? You're like, oh, like I want to have 100,000 followers, 5,000 followers, 300 followers, whatever that number is. And that's what they're looking to grow. But you can grow that as much as you want. But at the end of the day, I have seen people with 100,000 followers that can't sell a t-shirt. So what's important is that you actually have what I believe is a community of people who are excited to buy from you, who are ready when you are ready to put something out. They're the first people to like kind of go for it. An example of this I just think about, Evie, is today we had our High Vibe Women networking call, which I know you were at, for our online community, which was great. And I put in there like, hey guys, like it would mean the world to me. I have this survey. I would love it if you guys filled this out for me. And like, because if we're trying to do some market research, every single person filled it out. Like, and that was way more than I expected, but it's because we are in this reciprocal environment of give and take and being able to work together to build our businesses. So I think the difference between an audience and a community is your audience might be with the people that follow you, but your community are the people that buy from you and grow with you. And no matter what business you're in, they kind of come with you on that journey. And so if I was getting started in business, or maybe I'm, mid-stage and I'm looking to grow my community, I would really start with just having conversations with people, like really growing that network, whether that be going to an event, hosting an event, asking someone for a one-on-one coffee. Like, it doesn't have to be big. That is the big thing, I think, that really moves the needle when it comes to growing a community.
Mm-hmm. I actually love that you brought up the ask that you made today in the group, because it was funny when you asked, you're like, oh, I have to like make an ask. But then you said it, it's like, yeah, like no duh, I'm gonna do that. Like it
Yeah.
was like a no-brainer from like the person being asked, because you've built that kind of a community where people are just willing to do that for each other without even second guessing it.
Thank you, Evie. And well, I would say that's a big piece of, when you're growing your business and you're growing a community, like there is an element of reciprocity that you want, right? Where I am somebody, and this is what I tell everybody: if you're growing a business, be willing to go first. You know, I have heard people, Evie, be like, oh, I'm not actually going to do that thing for free. I'm not going to make that referral. I'm not going to make that connection because that person's never done anything for me. And if you've never done anything for that person either, like you're both living that mentality and no one gets to win. But even today, I had a partnerships call with somebody and they were trying to pitch me for something. And I was kind of trying to pitch them for something. And by the end of it, I was kind of like, all right, what's middle ground here? Like, because this is what I'm willing to do for you kind of for free. And what are you willing to do for me? And we were able to find a middle ground. And I even said, I'm happy to pay you, but it looks like there is some actual mutual benefit here. And so I think, you want to be, and you want to find those communities and those spaces, regardless of where they are, where there are people who are going to be singing your name and there are people who are going to be moving the needle for you in your business when you're not always there to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And I'm wondering for you, is there a moment with your audience or your community where you felt that shift, where it did go from an audience to a community, or was it kind of always like that for you?
Yeah, to be honest, it was always like that, which is actually like how the social snippet got started. So for those of you who don't know me, I have High Vibe Women, which is our online community and in events business, mostly events in person. Me and my business partner, Maria, have been pouring into that for the last few years. But then our original OG business, and still the thing that pays the real bills, is the social snippet, which is a marketing agency where we do social and podcasting. So love that. And I'd love to be of service there. But how the social snippet actually got started was because I had a previous business before the social snippet, which it was a coaching business that I had. I have a master's in leadership. I was helping people through the pandemic, trying to figure out, like, everyone was having like existential crises. So like, I was doing like, coaching with people and helping people with Myers-Briggs, and I was like doing all these things. And my services like could not sell faster. Like, it was for someone with no business acumen. I have no reason to be like doing anything. I'm a self-starter. I can literally teach myself anything. But I was like, making these little Flowdesk like web pages before they were web pages, those little like opt-in forms, and I didn't have a site, and like, and so Maria was working in the travel industry, and I asked her to be my VA because I was like, I don't know how to make graphics. Like, can you please just do this? And that's how we got started. But I sold everything. My first sales were all to people I knew. And so that's actually, both a huge luxury, but also a huge amount of like a barrier sometimes for people in getting started. Is like, who am I going to sell to? I don't want to sell to these people. Then they see me, or then they know what I'm doing or whatever. And that being said, I had such an amazing community, and I had all these people who were just buying from me all the time and asking what my next thing was. Would I be willing to do something else? Could I do something on top of that? Would I be willing to, it was like they were building their own upsells. It was incredible. And so that's how the social snippet got started, was people kept asking us to do their social because we were showing up so much on social and selling so much on social. And so that's how it grew. So I've always had a strong community, but I think everybody has a community. It's all about how you cultivate it. And I think lots of people, they miss the key things to do to cultivate a community, whether that be answering your DMs, messaging with people, sharing a great podcast you listen to. You see on Thread someone's looking for somebody and it takes you 1 second to tag somebody. Doing that, like, there are these things that to me are super common sense, but I understand that's probably like my gifting. But for other people, I just think, sometimes we miss the like really easy stuff to grow a business, and then we're like over like focusing on funnels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. It's almost like almost too simple that people just kind of like glaze over it, and they're like, oh, I got to do this thing. Like, they're not looking at the simple daily things that they can do.
And it's like, I think it's like so low effort. I mean, I will say I put a significant amount of time into making referrals. Like, that's a huge part of like my days, right? Like, I'll meet with people, Evie, and someone will say, hey, I'm looking for a copywriter. And immediately I'm like, no problem. Let me introduce you to Evie. That's easy. Or someone will say, I'm looking for a web designer. I'm like, great, you can meet my friend Carla, like whatever that is. And I'm so happy to do that. But I make that practice. And then I'm not shocked that my business is mostly referral, right? Because if someone's referring you all the time, right, you're like, wow, that person's like really filling my pipeline. you're going to look for opportunities to try to refer that person, right? You're going to want to be part of that person's world, even from just like a reciprocal perspective. So I think I haven't been shocked that that's been the experience that I've had in growing my business. And I think we'll continue to, just because I've made so many deposits for people that I think people are always really happy to make deposits for me as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I read, I forgot what it was called. I think it's Persuasion with Cialdini or something like that. And it's
Okay.
about like psychology, and it talks about that reciprocity. But like, again, I think it's just like doing it from a genuine place.
Yeah.
And like such a place of authenticity makes a huge difference as well, which I think that, again, you do that as well.
Well, I think it's like you can't do it from a place of like, I have seen people do things from a place of taking, right? Where it's like they really want something in return. And so it's like they're going to do it because they're hoping something will come of it. And I've never lived in that energy, because more things have happened that I could never have imagined from being in like a generous spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being like a cheerful giver, rather than being like, so like, oh, like if I give Evie this referral, like I'm hoping that she's gonna do it back. Like I'm like, I know all of these things come around. And I think especially when you're just like, I'm really just invested in community and building community, I know it circles around.
Mm-hmm. And that really leads nicely into my next question, which is about how with High Vibe Women events and the online community, you and Maria really help others to do that, to build their community in a really genuine way. And specifically with the in-person events, which I've been to a lot of them.
Yeah. All of
Too
them?
many to count. I've been to all the full day ones.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And I went to the co-working one that you did years ago when I was first starting out. That was when I first met you guys. And a couple of brunches, I think.
Killing it.
I'm just addicted now at this
Yeah,
point.
I love it. Evie, I don't know if you're going to care that I said this on your podcast, but you edited it, so you can edit it. But Evie had a nightmare that she couldn't buy the first ticket for High Vibe Women, because I use you as a guinea pig sometimes to buy things.
Yeah.
And on the web pages, I'm like, does this work? And are you going to get an email at the end? And it was a nightmare. It wasn't even like, oh, I had this weird dream. She was like, it was a nightmare. So you're committed to the cause.
Yeah. It was like literally I pulled up the screen. It was like, you are not the first person to buy a ticket. And I was like, no.
Love it.
So yeah, worst nightmare. You've done, we're going into your fifth, when we're recording this, we have the fifth one coming up and you're already planning the sixth one. Is there kind of a moment with the High Vibe Women full day events, or even the shorter ones, that you kind of looked around and you're like, we did this? Like,
oh my God, all the time.
Like, we made this.
Yeah.
Is there kind of like a specific moment where you look around and feel that at these events?
You know what, Evie? It's so amazing, because I think Maria and I are both so rooted in gratitude about all of this that it's like it never is lost on us ever. Like, so I know there's people who will, have 20 people come to an event and they'll be disappointed. And I'm like, wow, what an opportunity to bless 20 people. Like, that's awesome. Like, we are both so similar minded about this, where for us it's like so much about impact, and we just see how much the women get from it. So there's a few, like I would say always at the end, like the thing that always strikes me as so odd but like so warm, like for me, is that people say to take photos with us. Like, and because I'm always like, you guys want to take photos on the stage? Like, come for the stage. And then people will be like, come be in the photo. We're like, you don't need us in these photos, but it's like so sweet. So that always really gets me. And then the thing that I'm like the most proud of, I think, is that like you never feel like you make it, right? Like, I don't think anyone I know who's ambitious, like never feels like it's the end. But what I think is always just so amazing is when I talk to somebody who has been to an event and they have like some type of return on their investment. That is the thing where I'm like, this is what it's for. Like, it's not really about me and Maria, like wearing nice dresses and like hosting an event. It's not like, I love the brand activations we do. I love our sponsorship partners. I love those freaking swag bags. Like, it's just so much fun. And it's really always about like, you made a connection on a brunch once, right? And that's led to a bit of work for you. That's so important to me, that's like a great return. Or like two people sitting next to each other and then they go out for coffee the next week. Like, wow. Like, it's just, I know the power of like you sit next to someone at an event, you have no idea where it's going to go. And then it goes somewhere like you couldn't imagine. So I just think it's really like when I think on these moments, it's really just seeing how full circle it is to see people build their own communities, and like the amount of spin-off events that have come from High Vibe Women where people are like, now they run their own events and they're doing their own thing. Like, get it. Like, I'm actually so pleased. Like, and people are always like, oh, like, does that make you feel weird? And I'm like, no. Like, I'm stoked about it because I just think there's just something so magical about women gathering. So there's just so much to celebrate.
And I know that you went to a lot of events in the States prior to starting High Vibe Women. Mm-hmm. Was that kind of what you found was the biggest impact for you. So you wanted to be able to bring that impact more into Canadian boundaries, I guess.
Yeah, it was interesting. So when we started the social snippet, we had a decent Canadian community, I would say, but it was just interesting that there was no like gathering place. Like, there was no community I could think of where I could go and I would be able to see a ton of people I loved. One of my favorite things about High Vibe Women is people are like, oh, it feels like coming home. Like it feels like a reunion. Someone was like moving a family vacation because she was like, I can't miss seeing my girls. Like this is so good. And I was like, okay, like do you? Like there will be other ones. We'll be back. So it's interesting. We went to all these events in the States. We were actually part of a mastermind that met twice a year. And what was so interesting about it was so many of the people were Canadian. And we're sitting there, it's how I met Jeanette Downey and her partner Steve, and like, we're Laura Sinclair, like, we're all in this mastermind together in the US. We're in Arizona all sitting together being like, oh, I'm from Barrie and I grew up in Toronto. Like, so that made me kind of think of like, well, what would be back here? And we just couldn't find anything that was the right fit for us. And I'm such a big believer that like when you see a gap like that, you're the one meant to fill it. Like you're seeing these signs, So that is why. And there was a very particular way that, and I'm obviously like, very aware of like the political landscape of what's going on right now in the US and just want to be mindful of that as I share this. But I do think Americans have a very entrepreneurial type of energy to it, like American events. And there's a huge piece around like, this American dream and like they risk it all and they go hard or whatever. And Canadians, we're just more risk averse. Like that's just like the way we look at our economy. Right? So it was just interesting to go kind of back and forth. And you would hear these like stories of women, like, and we have these at home too, but they just didn't feel as accessible. And so wanted to create these spaces where we could hear these stories of like women who were doing the damn thing and really growing their businesses in sustainable ways, whether that's working a full-time job and growing it at night, whether that's, doing everything we can to like provide for our families. Like, we know that when women grow businesses, they're giving back to their communities. Like, so these women are doing these amazing things here and we're not gathering to talk about it. And it didn't feel like at the time. And so that was it for us, was like the starting point of it was like, hey, let's gather these people. I have nothing against networking with men. I'm in lots of groups that have men. Like it wasn't about that, but there's just this power of women. The way we do business is so different. So really that was the catalyst for it, but now it's morphed into something so different. And we have so many Americans that come, as you know, to High Vibe Women all the time. Because there's something really special about like I think, Inbal, Claudio.
Yes.
Inbal always is like, I love my Canadians. You guys are amazing. You're so thoughtful. Like you're so kind. Like the way you guys do business is so incredible. Like, and I just believe that to be true so much. So wanting to create space for that, I think has been the catalyst.
Yeah. And now that you mention it, I think you're right. Like when I first started my business, I started 3 years ago, which was right when you guys were kind of starting High Vibe Women. Yeah. And I knew when I was starting that community was important, but there wasn't a lot of opportunities in my city that wasn't just like straight up networking, showing up with a business card, like, you know what I mean? And yeah, you guys really kind of led the charge on showing up and talking about your successes, your wins, your losses, and just being really open and honest about what it's actually like to have a business.
Well, and it's just interesting because even I do think as Canadians, but especially as women, like we are so humble to our success, right? Like we are so, I don't say fearful of sharing because I actually don't think it's fear, but I think it's like, I felt like I was among the first group of women I knew in my location sphere to talk about the fact we had to hit 7 figures. That is very common in the States, right? Like very common in my entrepreneur world for people to be very like, this is how I'm doing. This is how much I'm in the red. Like this is my burn rate. This is like, it just never. And like, I would have those conversations. Stacey Millard, met her in the States. Like, like I would have these conversations with friends, but it wasn't like, you can't like, what is it? You can't be it without seeing it. So like, I know I am like a better entrepreneur. I know our business has been more successful because I've been around 8-figure entrepreneurs. I know that. And so being able to like bring that forward and like just be really honest of like, hey, we had a year in the red and that's what this looked like. And those are all the investments we made. And also this is how we've paid ourselves and this is how we've worked on that. And like, we still don't pay ourselves as much as we want to. And here are the investments we're putting back in our business. And this is why that's important. Like these are conversations like we really needed to have with people. And I think, I've just like really tried to lead with that authenticity as much as possible and just being really honest about like what we love about business and what's hard. Because there's also a level of, and I see it more, I would say in other spheres, but like the glamour of business. Like, oh, I don't want a man to tell me when I can eat lunch, so I'm going to start my own business. It's like, that's not that simple. Like, it's really not that simple. And like the amount of women that make to 7 figures, it's like 1%, right? So it's like that, like, I want to raise that. I want that to be way higher. And so I don't know. I think as women, like, we're so humble about our accomplishments. And I really just believe that there's just so much power in us doing all this together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And we were just talking about that in the networking call this morning.
Yeah.
There was two of us on the call who were, I was one of them, who was just like, oh yeah, like I do this, like just kind of like almost whispering it. And then when you open up and you say what really is, like the one woman had like 20 employees and like so much bigger than she kind of let on. Yeah. And it's like, you should have led with that. Like,
there was a woman at our last retreat who is starting a new venture. And she has an existing venture, and she was talking about this existing venture, and she was like, well, like I do this thing, which it was probably a thing that like people wouldn't think makes a ton of money. And she was like, yeah, like it makes like $250,000 a year, but like, so we have enough to live. And I'm like, yeah, you have enough to live. Like you're doing fine. Your business basically has no expenses. Like it was just so interesting. Like, and it's provided such a great quality of life for her and like whatever, but she's so humble about it. And like, and I think there's a level of like beauty to that sometimes too, where it's like, we keep those cards close to our chest a bit and, we're building, but like, I think it's not only about sharing your revenue numbers, but I think it's also about like, really sharing your journey, building in the light, showing people what's possible, telling people like, hey, this is what works. That's not what works. And I think that's where too, like when you're making investments in your business, whether, it's communities or relationships or whatever that looks like knowing what moves the needle for you, like being able to talk about that. Like I can tell people, hey, like these types of events don't move the needle for me. Like, here's how I found success. When I go to these types of events, this is what I do. Like always, I think providing that insight. I think we just have so much to learn from each other. And like, it's just so important that we're sharing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Speaking of learning what works and what doesn't work, is there anything that you've kind of changed about how you run the High Vibe Women events from the first one to now the 5th and 6th one that has really shifted the experience for people?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question, Evie. It's funny. I think that big things that come to mind for me is like, one, like for us making it a bit more profitable. Just because the first ones we were kind of like, I don't know, like what do people like? Like what don't they like? And so there's things that we did that I think, I laugh now, like, yeah, it's just, there were things that like we really cared a lot about that now I don't care that much about. Like one year we had a latte bar like that. And that was a very stressful situation because there was one man working this latte bar. Like we learned a lot of lessons along the way. I think the big thing for me was outsourcing. So that was huge, was like really, as you know, we have a mutual friend. You brought us Serena, who's our little angel. And so Serena like does so much stuff for us on the event side. And then having our like kind of event manager, Helena, like just such amazing people. Like, so that's one. Two, like really just like outsourcing the right things. But two, I think the main thing that we've been trying to do is keeping it like fun. And I know that sounds stupid. Like even as I say it, I'm kind of like, people don't want to pay $500 a ticket for fun, but we know that when people get away, they like let their guard down a little, they take fun photos. They're listening to great speakers. They have a good dinner. Like, we try to do cool and fun foods. We try to do like, little like trendy things. Like we want to make things Instagrammable for them. Like we want to make it something they want to go to again and again. Like, so those have been the kind of like priorities that have shifted, but I think our heart for it has always been the same. And you've been at all the full day ones, but like our heart for it has always been the same, that it's like about bringing women together to grow their businesses. And like, so like we've ebbed and flowed on like networking time, like how much networking time is too much, like where people are paying for us to put them in a room with no programming, and speakers, like that's always been a tough one for us. We have a really amazing network and we get like hundreds of applications for every spot. And then at the same time, like we're, trying to bring expansive people in, but trying to keep it mostly Canadian. And like, so it's always like a little bit of an ebb and flow. But I think the heart behind it has always been really like how to grow community. And we know like that whole like network is your net worth thing is the truth. And yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And I think you do always keep it fun.
Thank you.
I always it's like my little like weekend getaway. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go have a fun weekend with High Vibe Women.
Yeah, and that's what we want. It's like, Evie, like there's just so many, and you mentioned that, or we both kind of mentioned this, right? There's so many events now. Like people have lots of choice of like what events to go to, and it's funny with High Vibe Women because I think Maria and I are pretty modest with it. I still think we're like, I was laughing. We were in Toronto, and this woman came up to me, and she was like, "You're Kristina from High Vibe Women." And I was like, I'm actually Kristina from the Social Snippet. Like, that's still how it feels. But like, thank you. Like, and she was like, I've been watching and I've been waiting to make the choice about buying. And we were having this like really good conversation, or like our retreats, like just like people are kind of like in the sidelines, like waiting to get involved. And I just want them to know that like anybody, it's for everybody, right? It's for everyone to have a good time, and everyone finds their people. Like there is no exclusiveness around age, around race, around position in business, around, you know, like where you come from, like nothing. And so even looking at the survey data, like I just was looking and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I actually had no idea how many women we had that were over 40. Like if I was to tell you off the top of my head, I think everybody's 30. I don't know why, because I'm 33. I think everybody's 33. But like, and we had women in there who filled it up over 60. Wow, like that's so powerful that like we can all just be in community together. Yeah, I think it's about finding that. And you know, for those of you listening, like maybe Hive Everyone's not it for you. I hope it is, and like I hope you join us, you know, at whatever you can, online or otherwise. You know, find that community that makes you excited to go to everything, because I have my own version of that. Obviously, I have Hive Women, which is like, I feel like it's my wedding twice a year. Maria and I are always like, you know, little brides, but like, I think about Create and Cultivate. Like that's kind of my High Vibe Women, right? Like I go to events all over the US all the time. I have this community, or Chris and Lori Harder's community. Like that feels like coming home for me. And so find that place that like feels like coming home in business for you.
I want to interrupt this chat right here, because if you're sitting here thinking, this sounds amazing, this is where I want to be, this is where I need to be, I want you to know that the next High Vibe Women event is already scheduled for October, and Kristina and Maria have very lovingly given me a discount code to share with you all. So if you're interested, I'm going to put the link in the show notes for the event in October, also for the online community. For the event in October, you can use the code EVIE50, EVIE 50 to save on your ticket. And when you get your ticket, send me a message so that we can connect before we actually get to meet in person in October. Let's get back to the episode. And since you mentioned like that there is a lot of other events, do you think there's benefit to going to the same event over and over again?
Yeah, I do, because I think there is something to being an OG in a community, right? So this is a great question actually, Evie, because like I think, you know, I've had people ask that before about High Vibe Women, and there's actually like a ton of people like you who've been to every single one, right? And are like hi, the tickets just went on sale. Carly, another one, was like, hey, I don't have my business credit card. I forgot my business credit card. It's Sunday. I'm like, they're not going to sell out in one day, dude. Like, you're going to be fine. Go home and use your business credit card. But she's like, do I call my husband and get him to buy? I'm like, no, you're fine. But, you know, I think it's really powerful, like that you become kind of like a person that is so noted, right? That you are the person that people always think of because you're always there. So I think about this for myself with like this idea of like depth in community, where I had a year, I must have been 2023, where I was Dora the Explorer. Like I don't know if you remember, but it was like, I was like, this is pre-child. This is pre-child. Now I'm the backpack at home. Like it's like there's no Dora the Explorer. I was like, I can't have a single other character. I'm like, what? I'm not. My kids aren't at that stage yet. So it's like I would be in Arizona. I'd go speak. I'd go to Florida. After Florida, I'd come back. I go to I go to California. I'd leave from California. I go back to Arizona. I'm in Nashville. I'm here. Like I'm in Napa. Like, and it was so cool. Like I'm not gonna pretend it wasn't so cool and so fun. Like I had such a great time. Did we spend so much money? Yes, like so much money. Huge brand building year for us. It was well worth it and great and exhausting. And I didn't feel the depth that I did. And so I didn't see the return because I was seeing so many different people. I wasn't able to follow up with anybody. Like I wasn't able to like go to calls all the time and like have your people who are like who are your ride or die referrals. Like, so that was the beauty part of Fast Foundations, which was the first mastermind I ever did that I mentioned in the States. We really invested in that for a year. So we did like, that was it, kind of 2 6-month periods. And then I was a coach in it afterwards. That was like, I mean, I think so. I was like, well, other people do social in here. Other people do podcasting, like, but we were OGs. We would clean up like in terms of clients because people knew us over and over again. So if you pop into a community, you might not even have enough time to get the depth. So I'm super careful now. I speak pretty much like, wherever I'm asked, but in terms of where I invest, I do 2 things, maybe maximum. And I try to go to everything. Because I know people need to see things over and over again before they make a purchasing choice, before they trust you. Yeah, and I think that's just really so important.
Mm-hmm. And I think even from like my perspective of being at all 4, 5, 6 ongoing events, is the people that I've met from the first one who like, when like I think specifically of like, well, even you and Maria and like Carly and all these people that I met at the first event that I was like just like a little tiny little fish just starting out. And like just seeing the growth and like everybody growing together is such a cool experience. And like you said, it adds that depth to those relationships, which is so cool.
Yes. And like, I remember Lori said this, I've said this on podcasts before, but I remember Lori said this a long time ago about fast foundations. And this is something that's always like permeated in my brain when I've made investments is it is actually not about the people on the stage. It's about the people you're on the come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have always thought about this because I would go, like was in Fast Foundations. I did the Elite Mastermind, which is Chris and Lori's 500K plus mastermind. You know, I was in Can Cultivate, which was, you know, I've done all the things. I think not all of them, but lots of them. I'm in Founders Club, you know, anyway, I've shopped around and I've had communities I've loved. I've had communities that haven't been a fit. I've had communities that are great, but I didn't show up well. Like, you know, so I've kind of seen different things and I never focus on the leaders. The leaders are the energetic match. Like, will they bring someone to me that I love? Like, are they going to round up my besties in a room? That's going to feel really good. And I'm not trying to be their friend. Like, I'm not trying to get them to do business with me. I'm actually just about the people in the room and I'm just going to serve the people in the room and the right things will happen. Even for example, like Founders Club. Founders Club is a great example. Aaron Spivak from Hush Blankets is the original founder of that with Chris Mead, who just exited CrossNet. And they're great. Aaron is a client of ours. And like, but that's not like, that wasn't my intention. My intention was I met with them. I thought they were amazing. The people they attracted were so interesting and cool. I thought a lot of them could use podcasts. Like, you know, that was part of my decision-making process. They had events in Toronto and building local community. The amount of stuff that's come from that, I couldn't even imagine. Like not only podcasting clients, but like swag bag items. That's how I met Ali from Organic Traditions. Like you meet the girls from Trove, like so many like amazing connections that have been made. I think, yeah, repeating is great, but also just knowing that like the people that you're on the come up with, that's the beauty. And like really pouring into those people, not being so focused on I need to be on stage or like not only do I need to be on stage, but like I can only be friends with speakers. That's a huge rub for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. And I've always tried to do the same thing, like looking at who's beside you instead of, like you said, who's up on the stage.
And you never know where people end up too, Evie. Sorry, and I'll let you ask me a question, but like you never know where people end up. And like I had an example of this actually recently where there was this girl I met at an event. These are not events I show up great at. Like it was a pretty big event. That's Maria's jam. My jam is like smaller events, which is surprising. Her and I kind of chatted and I was kind of like, yeah, like, you know, like there you are and here I am. And like, you know, and we just never really like, we were not magnets. Like sometimes you meet someone, you exchange numbers, you're like, we're besties. I recently met this girl in Miami. I'm like, I'm moving to Miami. I want to be her friend. But we weren't magnets. And over time we would DM a little, like it was fine. She's hosting an event. I'm speaking at her event. I was happy to do it. That's great. We went to an event. We were both the only people we knew. We bonded over that. And I could have never predicted that she actually made a massive introduction to me for somebody for high vibe women. That's going to be massive for us. Like it's going to totally move the needle in a way we could have never expected. I could never have imagined that. Like I couldn't have predicted it. And so I think it's like just knowing that like, you know, not everybody you meet immediately is going to be like an heck yes, like, oh my gosh, we're going to be like best friends. But like over time, you might be like, I like really respect this person or like even like we got to know you over time, hired you to do some of our high vibe women stuff. Like, you know, it wasn't an immediate, like I need copywriting, but over time we were like, yeah, we need a copywriter. Of course we're going to think of you. And so I think just remember, like remain open-minded because you have no idea where people are going to end up or how they can help you or how you can help them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think in some networking situations, a lot of people go in with like, oh, I have to find my next client. Yeah. But like, that's typically not going to be the case. But those people will be referrals and like connectors and expanders for you. Yeah. As well.
And that's actually the best part is the expander or like the referral piece. Like sometimes like it's not even about like wanting the people in the room. It's about the people who like long-term, the ROI is greater to meet somebody who might know 10 people rather than you trying to sell to that one person. And I'll be honest, even like sometimes I get referrals from people. I got a referral today from somebody from my corporate job. Like she was like, oh, I'm following you on LinkedIn. It's time. Like, you know, I'm trying to build something on the side and I want to connect. So I think there's really something there. Yeah, I think there's really something.
And you also, so you host the bigger full day events. You also kind of balance it out with some more intimate dinners, like around like what, 20, 30 people usually. And the energy in those two rooms is usually completely different. So what format do you think, is there a format that you think changes people's businesses more, or do you think it kind of depends on the person?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on the person. Like, and it depends on what you resonate with. Like, so for example, like for me, smaller dinners are actually more my jam than big events. I love emceeing a big event. Like, I love being part of that energy. But for me to sit in the audience on a big event, I focus on meeting one or two people. I still think they're worth going to. I think they're amazing, especially if you know the community. Like Chris and Lori's community, for example, if they have a 100% event, I'm there, like all over it. Right now, I'm messaging them being like, it's time, come back. But I think it's really about like what you do well with and what feels good. I think the like 30-person events, there's a depth to them that's different, right? Like even if it's a small half day, you get to know them, you have a great conversation with them, you know, follow up. The fortunes and the follow up, guys, if you go to a small event, big event, whatever, grab people's Instagram handles, send a DM afterwards. Hey, so good to connect with you. What a great conversation. So excited about what you're doing. All of that really does make such a big difference and isn't just like a vanity thing, right? Like it is really about like what can happen long term. So I think both are good, but yeah, just find the ones that feel good for you. I get nervous going to small events by myself. Like that is something I just be honest. Like it's so funny. People find this so funny about me, but I'm so nervous going to events and I always need a buddy. And if I don't have a buddy, I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is going to be so hard. And I can talk myself out of like going to events. So guys, like I just think like, do what you need to do to make yourself be successful at going to an event.
That always surprises me too. When you say that, like I've heard you say it before, but I'm like, I can't.
It's so funny because I love them when I have like the community and I'm like if I was to go to anything that Chris or Lori put on or Create and Cultivate, I could go by myself. Like I have enough friends. I'm like boop boop boop. But if I'm by myself, I'm like, oh, like I went to Podfest. I spoke at Podfest and Taylor Smith and I were there and she was like the only person I knew and I was like, you will never leave my side. You go sleep and then you wake up and you tell me where you are. And she was so good at working the room. Like she was like, do you want to go to the vendors and like chat with them? Because I know like we're both trying to get sponsorship for our events. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do that. But like, that is part of just business, like doing those types of things. And so she was so great at it, but you just have to find kind of the right thing that works for you. But no, I do get really nervous going to them. And so I do things to try to like ensure that like I either, know somebody, or if I don't, and I recently actually went to an event in Miami where I didn't know that many people and I was nervous about it. I reached out to people who I knew were going and I tried to do a call in advance. And it actually worked out well. And I made like a great connection. And me and this is a girl I want to move to Miami to be friends with. She's so great. And so you just have to do what feels good.
Yeah. And what about for like introverts? Or I know for myself, something I struggled with when I first started going to any event was just feeling like I'm not big enough to be there. Like I'm just a little, I think you guys say chicken nugget in an oven. I'm just a little chicken nugget in an oven, or like a crumb of a chicken nugget in an oven.
You're
Can
so
you tell
funny.
I listen to way too many of your podcasts.
Well, it's so funny because that's how that's always the telltale sign out if someone listens is that they say, I'm just a little chicken nugget in the air fryer. And I'm like, yeah, there you are. There you are. You graduated. You're in an oven. I'm just in an air fryer. So you're killing it over there. So you actually want to be the chicken nugget. Like that's actually the truth of it is you want to be the chicken nugget. And that's actually where there's the most room for the expansiveness. I have been the rotisserie chicken, in a community where, maybe that's not the right reference. Maybe I've been the oven. I don't know.
I think it's perfect.
But it's like, I've been the person where maybe my business is the furthest along and people are making more withdrawals for me than I'm able to make deposits or whatever that looks like. There's different seasons for different things. But I have found most success in the rooms where I felt really uncomfortable. And that's actually why I love Create and Cultivate. Because when I join Create and Cultivate, often I feel like I'm in the future because so many of those people, like they have sold businesses and they're doing tech and they're building AI and they're raising and they're Series A and Series B. And I'm like, and I remember actually Founders Club is another one like this. We went to, they had like this like super private party before their like founders forum. And like we go, me and Maria, we're in the elevator. And this guy comes in and he's like, looks like, 12 and a half. And he's like, oh, you guys here for Founders Forum? We're like, yeah. He's like, cool. Yeah, I live here in New York. We're like, yeah. He's like, or I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I do go to market. And he leaves. And then Maria goes, what market does he go to? And I laugh because go to market just means, helping people get out into the world. But like, it was just so funny because I was like, oh, this is like, we're like the little chicken nugget. We're the chicken crumb here. Like, or like you're sitting there and on average, everybody in there makes, between 12 and 50 times what you make a year, yeah, like you feel like the little crumb. But like that's actually the only way you're ever gonna like get into the rotisserie situation is by being around other people who are one down to be crumbs with you. That's like, you know, the people who are like want to be like sponge crumbs or get that ahead. That's the only way that you get to grow your business that way. And like that was the exponential piece for me. Like the year that we like invested in a bunch of big communities where we were like just qualified for, like just like we had just made 500K and Chris was like, you can do the elite. And I was like, it's 500 Canadian. I'm so sorry. And he's like, it's fine. But like, you know, it's just amazing. It's amazing like what you can do. So I would say if you're nervous about it, one, I think the buddy situation is great. Like having somebody you can go with, who you can debrief with, who you know, because it's awkward to go and stand by yourself. I always applaud people that do it. Like I don't have it in me, so I like people that do it. I'm like very impressed by. But I don't mind when people do this with me. So I'm just gonna maybe give you the encouragement. I've had people like reach out to me and be like, I'm coming to High Vibe Women for the first time, and like I need a friend. And I'm like, let me connect you with someone, no problem. I just had someone do this about my retreat. They needed a buddy. She was super nervous. I was like, that's no problem. Boop, they're little buddies. Like, so I think there's a bunch of things that you can do. But the thing is that like, I don't know. You have to have the self-confidence that you deserve to be there. And that's something that I think I'm not going to teach you this in a podcast episode or probably ever. Like it is the self-work of knowing that like that kind of fear is a good thing sometimes. And like being in rooms like that can be like stressful, but it can be really good.
Very much like feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah. And there's times where I've done rooms like that and I've gone and, you know, it's been like a scary kind of situation. And then I'm kind of like, well, that was actually too scary. Oh, and that actually wasn't a fit for me. And I don't actually there's in Founders Club, like there's a lot of different groups of people. Some of those groups aren't for me only because I'm like, I don't actually feel like I have anything to deposit to them. And so I don't want to sit there and be a taker, you know, even though I know in every other season of my life, I'm the giver. So I just think really just knowing like, you know, that's okay, but just giving it a shot because you have no idea where you might fit in.
Yeah. Love that. So you and Maria, on top of High Vibe Women, you mentioned this already, you also scaled your social media agency, award-winning social media agency.
Yeah.
Podcast management, all of these incredible things. What is something about scaling to the size that you're at now that nobody prepared you for?
That's a good question. Think how hard it is to manage people. I think, you know, the actual businesses that I find like the most impressive are the ones where they have like, well, we have a low employee count, but we have a lot of contractors we work with. But they're the people that like run lean. Like we have a mutual friend in Allie Hicks, right? And Allie and I were on the come up together. And we did that original mastermind together. And she's a great friend. Like our business is probably maybe 3x revenue her business. That woman has way more money in her bank account than I do, you know, like because I say this everywhere, like because she has a one copywriter and they do things lean and like, you know, so she's like really, she invests back in her business. It just doesn't look the same. Right. And so I think, you know, trying to figure out how you can be lean about things and how you can do things that feel good. But I think, yeah, for me, it was how hard it would be to manage people and how much emotion comes with that. Like I've always been a people manager, basically my whole adult life. And so in a way, it's like, I knew because I've managed people in other contexts, but like the stuff that life happens and, you know, deliverables aren't done. And then you have clients asking you for things. And just that part's been really challenging. And wanting to like wanting to grow like your business. No one is going to love your business like you love it. And so just knowing that, like, as you're growing it, that like, they might see the vision. They might be excited about what you're doing. We have a very rare case with our like main employee, Ben, who's amazing. And like, I actually believe, you know, him and Serena, like, you know, we have a few people who love our business like it's theirs. It's not the norm. Yeah. So I would say those are the big things.
Yeah. And I like that you brought up Allie's business as well, because that's kind of, you can go one of two ways, really. You can stay lean or you can grow a big team. And that's always like a bridge that I'm always on. Like, I don't know which way to go. How do you figure out which one's going to work best for you?
I'm telling you guys to stay lean.
Nothing to figure out. Just don't.
Yeah, no, I just gave you guys the answer. No, you know what? Me and Maria, we love our business and we are High Vibe Women wouldn't be what it is today without us having scaled the social snippet the way we did, right? Like, because we wouldn't have learned all these lessons. And I think it did add a level of authority to like what we're doing. And like, you know, there is something to that, but it never ends. And I think that's the thing people realize is you hit 7 figures and then it's like, well, this year we did 1 million, but next year we should do 2. And then, in 5 years, will we do 10? Like, it starts to kind of weigh on you in that way. And I don't know that I'm making much more money than I was when we were making 500K, like, so it's just, it's really like, you have to figure these pieces out. But I would say if you love managing people, and that's like, you love doing that, and you love the challenges that come with that, because there's huge, I love my team. I love working with them, but like, it is also a lot of work, and it's different than what I expected it to be. And so what I would say, like, they're like the hardest working, they're great at what they do. Like, it's just, yeah, like, it's just a lot. We have 20 contractors we work with every single day. Like, it's just like lots of things going on. I think if you are looking for simple and you want to keep in control of things, I would recommend doing it solo or like small team. Ali and I actually did a really good episode on this. I'll send it to Evie that you can link in the show notes, because it was really good around like how her and I both like scaled our businesses so differently, and like how we have so much respect for the way the other person did it. But I just think, it is complicated. I've seen so many people scale down agencies in the last few years. It's people I love and I respect so much because of how much work it is, right? And so ask yourself that question. And it doesn't have to be fast. Also, demand. That's something like, you don't have a ton of demand in your business where like sales is like a bit of a problem. We've never had that at that point, like, God forbid, but like that's never been an issue for us, right? Like, we don't really sell that hard. So it was like, we have a lot of demand. And so I don't know how we wouldn't have scaled it to this point, because what would we have done? Like, turned clients down? I'm not sure. So, but if you're like, hey, I have 1 client and I'm hoping to have 50, there's a jump there. But I would say, keeping things aligned with your lifestyle also. Like, if you're a mom, like, and you don't have the same amount of hours to work in a day. Like, now I'm in a totally different season being a new mom, right? Like, I can't work the way I worked before. It's just not possible, and I don't really want to. And so now if I had started, this business would not be the same. But it's different, right? So yeah, I think it's just about finding that balance of like what you're looking for, and not allowing your success to be determined by other people's metrics. So when other people say to me like, wow, like a 7-figure business, like that's so great. I'm like, yeah, it's great. Like I really worked at that. Like, I sacrificed, like, I put family money forward, like, at the beginning, like things like that someone else might not be willing to do. And so it's all about your own tolerance, but don't let Alex Hormozy like let you believe that you're not successful enough.
Yeah. And so you scaled before you had your son, Jack.
Yeah.
Are you, I mean, you kind of answered this, but like obviously thankful that you did the scaling before.
Yeah. Yeah. It wouldn't have been as fast. I put in some sweat equity into this. Like, obviously I was paid, but like it was the traveling. That year of us like doing a ton of travel, a ton of speaking was like pouring major gas on our business. Like, it was a huge, like, we've spent 100K in travel. So it was a masterminds and stuff like that. So it's like that, and that took us from 500K to over 1 million. So it's like, that is like that's like the piece. So I could not do that as a mom. Like, it just wouldn't be, I mean, I could at the sacrifice of my child, so it's like, that's why, like, I don't envy people who, get started. Like, I know some people get started on mat leave, or get started like when they have young kids. And so it's like, you're building a different thing. And now, like, even being pregnant, Evie, like, this from knowing me, but like, I was dead like for a year. Like, I just like, I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. I slept all the time. Like, I would literally go to content days and the team would be like, is today a full work day? And I'd be like, it's not. Like, I just couldn't do it, like, physically. And that was the first time in my life where I had ever been outworked. I've always been the hardest worker. I've always been that person that can stay late. I'm the person who wakes up early. I'm the person who can work 18 hours and still have it in me. Like, and that was the first time I had ever been like, outworked by my own choices. And so I think, knowing now what I know now, like, such a deep respect for moms who grow businesses, and like, it's an amazing juggle. But Laura, like, who I know is a mutual of ours, like, she talks a lot about this, like, about how, like, we moms have it different, and it is just different. And I think there's so many ways to look at it. And I'm so blessed that I can do this. I'm blessed that, an hour before this, I was hanging out with Jack in the in-between time. Like, that's like such a blessing. Your kids might be home right now because it's snowing. Like,
not today.
Okay.
They're at a babysitter. They're with my mother-in-law today.
Oh, nice.
Quiet. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But like, you get that benefit, right? Of like, if you needed that. And so we get to build the businesses how we want. But I think that's the piece with scaling to keep in mind, is like, don't compare yourself to someone who doesn't have kids. Don't compare yourself to someone who lives in Tulum. Don't compare yourself to Americans who have totally different tax laws. Like, there's just different things and different circumstances. So leaning into that is really important.
And you've touched a little bit on this about kind of the investments that you've made in mastermind and coaching. What would you say I feel like I know the answer to this already. What would you say is the best investment you've ever made in mentorship? And the one that taught you the most expensive lesson?
Oh yeah,
So best
interesting.
one
Yeah,
and one that taught you the
a lesson.
expensive lesson.
Yeah. Okay. So I was the best one. Yes, I would say is Fast Foundations with Chris and
Mhm.
Lori's community. Yeah, and I've invested with Chris and Lori, heard her many times. Like I've done Roundtable, I've done the Elite, I've done Dinner Series, I've VIP Day, I've done it all. I literally was just on the phone with Chris's brother Nick, and I was like, if you guys give me a list of your Stripe like payments of who's paying you, I could tell you I've talked to them about your programs. Like, people reach out to me all the time. So I love them. And why I think I learned so much from them and why it was such a pivotal time was one, it like gave me all my initial business besties, right? All my peeps. We're all in this like cohort together. We're all little buddies. It was great. And they have such a generous spirit in the way that they do business. And that's like something I really want to emulate. Like I want to, and I think I'm like somebody who lives in generosity and like they're the like people like, how do I help you grow your business? You're one introduction away from like everything you need is in this room or one introduction away. Like that is like really the energy. So I needed that in that season. And then they've been so generous with me over the years and I've just grown so much from them. So I just love them so much. And I would say the biggest lesson I've learned in terms of investing is the over investing. So the issue is I don't blame any room for the lack of my results. Like there's no event I've ever been to where I don't think I could have gleaned something. Like, and so even if like I didn't love the speakers, maybe I got sat at the shitty table, maybe like, you know, like whatever. I don't blame the hosts for it, because it's my opportunity to take lemons and make lemonade. So I think that's a big piece. Was my big lesson was needing to go deep, not wide. And it was a great brand year. I had a great brand year, but I needed to take a breath and no pun intended, and just really like dive deep into just a few communities and show up so well, because it was like, Evie, I'm not joking. I would like go to events. People would be like, I need your services. And I wouldn't even follow up with them. Like it was like money on the table. Like why was I even going? Like, and so, yeah, I think that's the big piece for me. That was the big lesson, was the like is overdoing it. It's better to just do a few things and do them so well and show up so fully than do a million things and not show up at all.
I think that's so true. And something that I sometimes grapple with is, when is there a point where you're kind of like thinking that you might need, you know, mentorship, support, that kind of thing, but you're not sure whether it's I need support from outside or I need to actually take action and do the thing.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think people do overinvest in mentors. Like, I think that is the truth of it. I think you should always have someone you're learning from, like in some capacity. But I do think sometimes people are like, their mentor is like their like saving grace. And on that last 10K I'm going to give that person, they are going to make me 20. Again, it's really about like you having the opportunity to make lemonade in your own business. So I would say, yeah, I don't know. I'm always really hesitant with mentorship, and like I'm very picky about that. But I also think like sometimes it is just about doing the work. And like, even when I like, this is why I don't one-on-one coach, Evie. I think you know this about me, but like, I don't one-on-one coach unless like people pay in full for the membership and I do half an hour with them, because I get too invested in people's results. And I'm like, you didn't do the 10 things I said for you to do. And they're like, well, I didn't do it. And it's like, yeah, then that's why you're not getting the results. Right. And so I think taking massive action has to be part of your plan as an entrepreneur. It has to be part of like your motivation, because otherwise, yeah, sometimes you're paying for coaching, and I've done it. I paid for coaching and people will give me advice and I've taken no action. And at the end of the day, that's on me and not on them.
And sometimes what you need is like the community, right? Tying it back, maybe you don't need a mentor. Maybe you need accountability through a community of people who are doing the same thing as you to just make you actually do the thing.
Or a network. Like that's the other thing too, is Evie, like so many times people will like come to me with a problem and I'm like, you actually just like don't know enough people. Like I actually just don't think like you can't sell this, because one, nobody wants to buy it because you didn't do any market research, or two, you don't have enough of a network. Like I feel so blessed that like I have people who sing my name all the time. You're the same, right? And it's like, because you've invested, you showed up, you've built relationships. I just encourage people to do the same, and just nothing bad's going to come from you having an awesome network. So just leaning into that.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I'm wondering if we can, well, no. Okay. Before we get into rapid fire.
Perfect.
Can you tell people, I loved this conversation. I'm so excited to share it. But can you tell people the best place to connect with you? And I do want to talk for a second about High Vibe Women events as well.
Yay.
But let's start with the best place to connect with you.
Yes, the best place to connect with me would be on Instagram or LinkedIn. Kristina Bartold. I spelled my name with a K. Kristina.Bartold on Instagram or LinkedIn. And any friend of Evie's is a friend of mine. So let me know like what resonated, anything that you listened to that you were like, oh, that's cool, or not. I'm open to feedback as well. And I also have a podcast called Community where I jam out on all things building community in your business and growing your business through marketing and all of that. So we have fun over there. Evie, I'm going to have you on now that I'm back to recording. So we'll do that. But yeah.
Amazing. And for the High Vibe Women events that we just spent a lot of time talking about and probably made people really excited about, when this releases, we will have just passed number 5.
Yeah.
So tell me about what people can look for and how they can get in on the next one.
Oh my gosh, Evie, I'm going to give you some scoop because this isn't even live info yet. So yeah, it's just cornered me. So yeah, you can find out about our next High Vibe Women event, and you can. So we are doing our next big experience on October 21st and 22nd. It is in Hamilton at the Leuna Station. The 21st is a VIP. By the time you listen to this, I don't know if there will be VIP tickets left because those go very quickly and people are willing to sell organs for them. So you have to figure out how committed you are to the cause. I don't want your organs. You guys sell amongst yourselves. But yeah, and it'll be October 22nd, which is a Thursday in Hamilton. It's going to be amazing. We're just so excited and we have some amazing, amazing speakers already lined up. And if you can't make that, we'll have a number of pop-ups throughout the year, which you can check out at highvibewomen.ca. And then we have our online community, which is where we have about 100 women. We gather. We have something going on every week. We've got the circles. Great place to get feedback. Great place to make business connections. And you can find that at highvibewomen.ca/community.
And I will link all of that in the show notes as well. So let's wrap it up with a little bit of rapid fire. So first question, do you have a ritual or a habit that you do on event days that would surprise people?
Oh my goodness. No, but this is like a crazy thing that I do, which I think will make people know what kind of human I am. Sorry, this is not rapid fire. This is me slow fire.
Okay.
Is I basically like that night will go back to my room and I basically plan the whole next one. I leave and I'm like, I already have most of it kind of swirling and I will spend the whole evening because I'll listen to feedback. I see what people like in live time. Most people take a break. Not me. Couldn't be me.
I can just imagine you doing that in your room and Maria's just fast asleep in there.
No, and it's 3 days later. I'm like, Maria, I did a thing. Yeah, we won't speak for 3 days.
Yeah. What do you think will be the biggest shift in marketing, online marketing this year? Where do you think it's headed?
I think it's headed towards community. It's people are really struggling with the trust recession and really struggling to sell in the way that they would. People who I know have traditionally never had any problem selling or having trouble selling. So I think it's going to be about how do people lean in and monetize their communities.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think that's going to affect, say, social media, podcasting, YouTube?
I think people are going to be leaning more into things like podcasting and YouTube to create more trust. I think that'll be because long form is definitely such a great way to create trust, as you know. And I think on social, I think we're going to be seeing people who've historically never had trouble selling in different ways.
Interesting. Okay. I'm excited to see that now.
Yeah. I'm already seeing it. It's interesting.
Yeah. Is there one way that you're seeing already that's working really well?
Yeah, it's people who have never had trouble selling, discounting everything and showing up a ton in stories and really feeling this need to show up a ton, showing way more behind the scenes. They're doing a lot to build trust when they've never had to, right? They've leaned on a big audience or that they've it's different. Yeah.
And Lori Harder was in your community the one day. She talked about the informed girlfriend type of content, which I've been seeing a ton of that. We're oh, I've done this thing. You have this problem. I know this thing. I
think the influencer thing's going up. People are influencers are dead. I'm there's no way. There's no way. People need this stuff and they don't want someone with 100K following telling them. They want someone with 10K. They want someone who's in their backyard telling them about it.
Awesome. What is your favorite thing to do with your son, Jack?
That's so sweet. Right now he's 8 months, so there's not too much going on. He's low key.
Is he crawling yet?
No, he's not. I have a feeling one day he's just gonna walk. He's 24 pounds, so he's he's very large. He's 99th percentile for height, so I think he's just not gonna crawl. But for us right now, I'm really enjoying family time where me, him, and my husband Josh and our dog Patrick, we all hang out together and we in bed and Jack just plays and he just laughs. But this from being a mom. It's every month is a different milestone, a different season. Yeah, I think it's just the beginning. I'm excited to see what else happens.
Mm-hmm. Those are I just, even when you said that, I was thinking of those times with my kids too. They're a little bit older now, but yeah, they still like to jump in bed and just have a little snuggle. And those are my favorite moments too.
So sweet. I cried the other night because I was thinking about how, like, yeah, because he's just growing up so fast. And, like, and I do want to have more kids, so it's going to be fun. But it's like, you just want to savor all of it.
Yeah. Oh, we started doing movie nights. You can look forward to this. Movie nights. Like, if we don't have plans on a weekend, we'll like pick a movie together as a family. We'll make popcorn. We'll blow up an air mattress in the basement and just literally sit and watch a movie. And it's like, this is my new favorite thing to do.
That is so cute.
Yeah, but they have to be at that age where they'll like sit and watch a movie for a little while.
Yeah. Jack's not there. No.
Yeah. No. Okay, last one. Do you have a dream collaboration or partnership that you're calling in for 2026 that you're willing to share?
Okay, I have one. I can't share it yet because it's pretty close. So look out, guys. It's going to be sick. But, oh my God, I would love to collaborate with, like, oh my God, there's so many different options. But, like, even like Squarespace or like Kajabi, or like we've done one with Flowdesk, but even deeper on that, or like Trello, like just something where, like, I don't know, the women use these tools, where it's like I really want to see them activate at High Vibe Women. So I'm coming for them. Just so you know.
I'll keep an eye out for that in October. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kristina, for coming on. I cannot wait for people to dive into this one, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, can't wait.
I want to take a quick moment just to thank you so much for joining me in this space, and just to encourage you that if there was anything that kind of sparked something for you, or that you felt like somebody that maybe needed to hear, please feel free to share the episode. And if you are excited to hear more, go ahead and subscribe and listen to more of the episodes. I'm so excited that you're here, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you.